Shalom. Welcome to the second episode of Thank God It's Friday, practicing the biblical Sabbath. So let's jump right in. This is episode 2. So if you want to learn more about how to practice the Sabbath and why we do practice the Sabbath from a biblical standpoint, you need to watch episode 1. So tonight, or this episode here, is going to be talking about the practice of peace and the reward for keeping Shabbat. So let's jump right in. We ended with how shalom is the result and the blessing of practicing Shabbat, is that we walk in shalom. We walk in peace. Shalom means, has 7 meanings. It has 7 facets of meaning, and that is peace, harmony, wholeness, completeness, prosperity, welfare, and tranquility. And so we learned about that. So let's talk about the blessing and the reward for keeping a biblical Sabbath. We talked in a previous episode about when that Moedim, that appointment is with God. It's Friday night to Saturday night. It is not up for debate. It's not up for our customization and our designer Sabbath. It is when God established it at creation for all of creation. So you want to learn more about that? Go episode 1. Let's talk about the reward of keeping Shabbat. These things have I spoken to you, the Lord says in John 16:33, so that in me you may have shalom. In the world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. There is a way to live in shalom, in peace, no matter what the world is going on, and what you are going through in the world. And it is really a foundation. The shalom life is based on the Shabbat, on the practice of the Sabbath. It is a lifestyle. Yeah, we only do it once a week for 24 hours, but it is the height of the week. It is the paramount of the week, and is what we aspire to all week long. To that day, set aside the reward of working all week, creating all week, being able to ask God and receive answers from him all week. But one day, God takes the day off, and he wants us to take the same day off with him. Thank God it's Friday, right? Literally, it's better than just a name for a restaurant. So Mark 2:27 says it like this. Then he said to them, Shabbat was made for man and not man for Shabbat. So this is where the Lord, Yeshua himself, said, I am the Lord. I am the Lord of Shabbat. I am the Lord. I am the Adonai. I am the ruler of Shabbat. But Shabbat was not made. The Shabbat was made for man. Man was not made for Shabbat. So Shabbat is literally made for us. And there are benefits to keeping the appointment that God has made with us. And Yeshua said, I am the Lord. I am the Lord of the Sabbath. I'm going to read this to you in the Tree of Life Bible, which many of you ask me, what is, how can I get started in the Hebraic, all things Hebraic, and the roots of the Hebrew that we as believers in the Lord Yeshua, who was a Torah observant Jewish rabbi, how do we learn more about the culture and the looking at the Bible through the lens of a first century Christian? Because we will not understand it fully. We will understand maybe one dimension, but we won't understand the fullness and the beauty and the 3D, 4D, 5D, 8K, 20K, version of the Bible if we only look at it through our culture. So let's look at, and the word never changes. It doesn't change with cultures, but you won't understand what Yeshua was communicating, and maybe what he was trying to get across, and what he was trying to fulfill from his Father, if you're not looking at the whole covenant. So let's look again at Mark 2:27. Let's see, here it is in the Tree of Life Bible. And it talks about Shabbat restoration. And he talks about here, he said to them, Shabbat was made for man and not man for Shabbat. So the Son of Man is Lord even of Shabbat. The Son of Man is the Lord of Shabbat. So he is the Lord of it. He rules over it and he practiced it. And the Apostle Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ, because we are imitators of our Messiah, and he practiced Shabbat. Now, Shabbat is a lifestyle, and is a lifestyle that works. There was one of the most thorough health studies done in this United States in history, was a study that's been done and is continuing over the Seventh-day Adventists. These are people that practice the Sabbath, and they use the dietary laws. They are Christian people, and I'm not here to advocate for them. And I'm a charismatic Pentecostal. I'm a Christian, so I'm not a Seventh-day Adventist. But they have studied their lifestyle, and they have studied how living the lifestyle of Shabbat and eating according to the biblical tradition and abstaining from alcohol, these things increases their lifespan, and they have 30% lower cancer risk compared to other Americans, and they live longer than other Americans. As a matter of fact, in Loma Linda, California, where a lot of these studies are done, there's the longest living people in all the United States of America, with many people over 100 years old and healthy and vibrant. The Shabbat, and I'm not talking about a religion, because this is not about religion. This is about a relationship of holiness, a set apart life, because God asks us to set apart one day to spend with him, a 24-hour day to spend with him, to fellowship with him, to commune with him. And it doesn't have anything to do with going to church. So look at the blessing in keeping this appointment, that God made an appointment. A moedim is the Hebrew word, to spend time with us for 24 hours a week. And let's look at this. Isaiah 58:13 says this: if you turn back your foot from Shabbat, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call Shabbat a delight. It's all about your attitude. The holy day of Adonai honorable, if you honor it, not going your own way, not seeking your own pleasure, nor speaking your usual speech, then you will delight yourself in Adonai. And I will let you ride over the heights of the earth. I will feed you with the heritage of your father Jacob, for the mouth of Adonai has spoken. This is God speaking a blessing over those who keep Shabbat and regard him and give them a 1/7 tithe of the time that he created, to give it back to him and see what he does with the other 6 days for you. Isaiah 61:6 says it like this: but you will be called the Kohanim of Adonai, the priests of Adonai, the saints of Adonai. They will speak of you as the ministers of our God. You will eat the wealth of nations and boast in their abundance. Instead of your shame, double portion. Instead of disgrace, they will sing for joy. Therefore, in their land, they will inherit a double portion. They will have everlasting joy. This is connected to that previous scripture, Isaiah 58, as a blessing of those who keep Shabbat. So if you want to be called minister of God, if you want to eat the wealth of nations, if you want to boast in the abundance that God has given to you, to give you a double portion instead of shame, instead of disgrace, you will sing for joy, because there's a lot of singing and a lot of joy on Shabbat, and inherit that double portion. This is what God has established for those who practice Shabbat. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. This is going to be a hard question. And this is something that God has just been illuminating to me, and you tell me what you think about it. Now, remember, if you've watched episode 1, the Shabbat or the Sabbath is a set time, a moedim, an appointed time unto God. But is Shabbat a test? Is the Sabbath a test of our willingness to recognize our Creator's commandment or his covenant and claim on our time? You know that I like to compare this to tithing, because many people believe in tithing, and there's a biblical precedent for it, but then some people don't believe it. Some people who read those and study the word say, that's something that's, whatever, it's optional. Let me tell you, almost everything in the Bible is optional except for salvation. You're not going to go to hell for a lot of things, as far as there's a lot of grace and mercy, but for those who decide to opt out of the sin life, for those who opt out of the fleshly carnal life and opt in for the spirit-led life, there is a blessing. You see what I'm saying? I'm not here to judge people whether they're going to heaven or hell. That is not what this is about. This is about who wants more of God. When you want more of God, when you want to be like him, when you desire not more things, but more of him, more of his nature, more of his compassion, to love what he loves, to hate what he hates, there is a call on some of us. Those who are hearing, who has an ear, let him hear. He who hath an ear, let him hear. The Sabbath is a commandment. It made the top 10. And if you watch the first one, and it's a covenant. So it's a two-part thing. God keeps the appointment, the Moedim, every Friday night at sundown. He's on it. He is resting. He set aside his time to fellowship with his children, to commune with us, to walk with us in the cool of the day, restoring Eden. But it's more than that. It's also a practice of what our life will be like for 1,000 years when he rules and reigns on the earth. It is a vacation, a staycation. It is a slice of time that we practice what it's going to be like to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb, being around the table with our family, where we talk about it. And this will be, I'm wrapping this up. So in the next episode, in episode 3, we're going to talk about how to do that and what it practically looks like to practice the Sabbath as a family and as your home. God keeps his covenant every week, whether we do or not. So when I found out all these truths, and I had to sit and say, is the Sabbath a test that I have failed? Is the Sabbath a test? And I'm not trying to bring condemnation on anyone. This was my journey. That I had to say, Lord, have you been keeping an appointment every Friday night to meet with me? And I didn't make the appointment because I didn't know any better. He gave me grace for that. He gave me mercy for that. But I did have to ask when I learned better, I asked for his forgiveness, and he gave me the grace to do better. Now, did I do everything that every Jew does on this Sabbath the very first time I learned about this? No. It's been a progress. It's been a progression. It's been a moving forward. It's been doing more and more as I learn more and more, and I have delighted more and more in him. You know, this is not anything, maybe this isn't for everybody, but I know it's for me. And I pray that if you want more of God and you want to learn how to better manage stress, you want to better learn how to keep shalom in your home as a woman, And if you're a man watching this, you're the head of your house. And in the next episode, I'm going to tell you what your role is in Shabbat, because there's definite roles for men and women, men roles, women's roles. There's a part for the children, boys, and a part for the girls. So everybody will know their identity and who they are in God and what God is requiring from them as a young man, a young woman, a child, a wife, a father. There's so much to learn from this. So I hope you join me in episode 3 for Thank God It's Friday, Practicing the Biblical Shabbat, where we will learn more. And if you want to ask yourself that question, is Shabbat a test? Is it a test to see who shows up and communes with the Creator God, the one who created them? Is it an invitation that I have neglected to stop working and cease and desist from all the things that distract me from being in his presence? And is it an invitation for me for 24 hours to put my feet up, to lift up my hands, to surrender all the stress and anxiety of the week, to put a stop, cease the work, cease the stress, and pass the test, to just walk with the Lord in the cool of the day for 24 hours so that he can kiss the rest of my week with his blessing, with his peace and his love. Think about it. Stay tuned for episode 3. Shalom.